Daf Yomi, Tractate Shevuot, page 8a. Tractate Shevuos, Ches Amud Aleph, top of the page, with the words Gilui Arayot, Nami Hechi Dami. Ibe Mezid Bar Katalahu, Ibe Shogeg Bar Korbanahu. The Gemara further asks, with regard to forbidden sexual relations, for which one might have thought the goat offering would atone as well, what are the circumstances? If you say the reference is to a case where he transgressed intentionally, then one can counter that he is subject to the death penalty, and so no offering will atone for his sin. And if you say the reference is to a case where he transgressed unwittingly, then one can counter that he is liable to bring his own sin offering for his transgression, and so the goat will not atone for him. The Gemara answers, the goat offering atones in a case where he transgressed intentionally, but witnesses did not forewarn him about his transgression. So he is not liable to receive the death penalty. It also atones in a case where he transgressed unwittingly, but by the time Yom Kippur arrived, he had still not become aware of his transgression, so he was not liable to bring an offering. Okay, so it's two cases. What's interesting is that the people who are the Amoraim, the rabbis who are writing the Talmud, are living in a time when these goats were not offered. So they're talking about the goat atoning for a sin in the time of the wilderness, and it's not applicable to their time. It's only talking about if someone would have sinned at that time. So it's being like, it's saying it's, or it will, or I guess they're assuming that in the future these goats will come back, that will bring it back, this whole service. It's kind of a question, but it has to be. I find it strange that they're arguing about whether these goats will atone, and they're not here now. But anyway, Shvichos Dami Nami Hechi Dami Ibe Mezid Bar Katalahu Ibe Shogeg Bar Galasu. The Gemara asks further concerning the bloodshed for which one might have thought that the goat would atone as well. What are the circumstances? If you say the reference is to a case where he transgressed intentionally, then one can counter that he is subject to the death penalty, so no offering will atone for his sin. And if you say the reference is to a case where he transgressed unwittingly, then one can counter that he is subject to go into exile, so the goat offering will not atone for him. Or answers, the goat offering atones in a case where he transgressed intentionally, but witnesses did not forewarn him about his transgression, and so he is not liable to receive the death penalty. It also atones in a case where he transgressed unwittingly, but by the time Yom Kippur arrived, he had still not become aware of his transgression, so he was not liable to bring an offering. Alternatively, it is referring to those cases for which the perpetrator is not subject to exile. For example, where the death was caused in a way that was almost unavoidable, or where it was very close to being considered intentional. Amar Mar Yachol Al Shalosh Tumos Halalu Yehi Sariyah Mechaper Tamad Noimar Mitumos Velo Kol Tumos Mamatzin Shechalak HaKasuv Miklal Kol Tumos Vitumos Mikdash Vikadasham Afkan bitos migdash v'kadash divrei Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara continues to analyze the next part of the Braita. The master said, one might have thought that the goat offering would atone for these three types of impurities. To counter this, the verse states, from the impurities of the children of Israel, Leviticus 16:16. The restrictive term, it's in this week's parsha, the restrictive term from indicates that it atones for some impurities, but not for all impurities. What do we find is the impurity that the verse differentiates from all other impurities? We find it with regard to the defiling of the temple or its sacrificial foods. It is specifically for this transgression that the Torah provides one with the means of achieving atonement, meaning by bringing a sliding scale offering. So too here, since the verse limits the atonement of the goat offering to transgressions involving impurity, it is logical that it can also atone only for the defiling of the temple or its sacrificial foods. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara asks, in what way does the Torah differentiate the impurity of this transgression from other types of transgressions? It is differentiated in that one brings a sliding scale offering to atone for it. But if that is a sufficient distinction, then say instead that the goat offering atones for idol worship, and in what way does the Torah differentiate it from other types of transgressions? And now the Gemara brings a siman. Siman is avodah zarah, yoledes, betzoira, nazir, v'chulei. Before answering, the Gemara interjects with a siman, a mnemonic that summarizes which cases it will suggest the goat offering should atone for: idol worship, a woman after childbirth, a leper, a Nazarite, etc. The Gemara returns to answer its question. It is differentiated. Oh no, I read it now. The question is the Gemara returns to answer the question. It is differentiated in that he brings a she-goat as a sin offering and not a ewe, which is an animal brought as a sin offering for other transgressions. Omar Rav Kahano, Hanan chalak lehakel ka'amrinan, v'hai chalak lehachmir hu. Rav Kahana said, we said, that the goat offering should atone for a transgression that the Torah differentiates in order to be lenient relative to other transgressions. But this case of idol worship is one that the Torah differentiates in order to be stringent relative to other transgressions. Accordingly, the verse cannot be referring to idol worship. The Gemara asks, why not say, instead, that the goat offering atones for a woman after childbirth, as the Torah differentiates her from other people who must bring a sin offering following a period of impurity, in that she brings a sliding scale offering, whereas others bring a fixed sin offering. Yehoshua said, the verse states for all their sins, Leviticus 16:16, and not for all other impurities. Accordingly, since the offering brought by a woman after childbirth is not to atone for sin, but due to the fact that she went through a period of ritual impurity, the goat offering will not atone for her. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai di'amar, yoledet nami chotati, ma'iga lemehmar. Rabbi Shimon letameh di'amar mikomo muchra. The Gemara asks, but if so, according to Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, who says, a woman after childbirth brings an offering because she is also a sinner, what is there to say? Under the intense pain of childbirth, a woman is apt to take an oath not to engage in intercourse in order to avoid becoming pregnant again. This is regarded as a sin because she will certainly violate that oath. The Gemara answers, Rabbi Shimon conforms to his line of reasoning, as he said in the Braita, from its own place, meaning from the verse about the atonement of the goat offering itself, it can be determined what the goat offering atones for. The Gemara asks, why not say that the goat offering atones for a leper, as the Torah differentiates him from other people who must bring a fixed offering following a period of impurity, in that he brings a sliding scale offering. Rav Yehoshua said, the verse states for all their sins and not for all their impurities. Accordingly, since the offering brought by a leper is not to atone for a sin, the goat offering will not atone for him. ולרבי שמואל בר נחמני דאמר על 7 דברים נגעים בהם מה יקרא בהמה התם נגעי דכפר לקרבן לאיש תרויה בקהר. The Gemara asks, but if so, according to Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani, it says, leprous marks come upon a person for 7 matters, meaning 7 different sins. What is there to say? The Gemara answers there, it is his leprous mark that atones for his sin, and the offering is brought in order to permit him to re-enter the congregation after having been ostracized while he was a leper. ואימה נזיר תמה דחלקת מעשי תויר ובני יונה אמר רב הושע לכל גדותם ולא לכל טומאתם. The Gemara asks, but why not say that the goat offering atones for a Nazirite who became ritually impure, as the Torah differentiates him from other people who must bring an offering following a period of impurity, in that he brings doves or young pigeons? Rav Yehoshua said, the verse states for all their sins and not for all their impurities. Accordingly, since the offering brought by a Nazirite is not to atone for a sin, the goat offering will not atone for him. ולרבי אלעזר הכפר דיאמר נזיר נמי חויתהו מה יקרא בהמה סבר לקרב שמעון דיאמר במקומו מוכרע. The Gemara asks, but if that is so, according to Rabbi Elazar HaKafar, who says a Nazirite is also a sinner because he unnecessarily abstained from wine, what is there to say? The Gemara answers, he holds in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, who says in the Braita, from its own place, meaning from the verse about the atonement of the goat itself, it can be determined what the goat offering atones for. Amar ma Rabbi Shimon omer, im komo hu muchra, הרי הוא אומר, וכיפר על הקודש מטומאות, מטומאתו של קודש וכולי. שבר כאמר רבי שמעון, ורבי יהודה אמר לך, ההוא מבעלה, כי איך נאבד, לפני ולפנים, הכי נאבד באיך. The Gemara continues to clarify the next part of the Braita. The master said, Rabbi Shimon says, it is not necessary to derive which transgressions the goat offering atones for by comparing the verse written concerning it to a different verse. Rather, from its own place, meaning from the verse about the atonement effected by the goat itself, it can be determined as it states, and he shall effect atonement upon the sanctuary from the impurities of the children of Israel, which should be interpreted as saying that it atones for the defiling of anything sacred, Kodesh, meaning the temple or its sacrificial foods. The Gemara explains Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, asking, Rabbi Shimon is saying, well, why does Rabbi Yehuda disagree? The Gemara answers, Rabbi Yehuda could have said to you, that verse is necessary to teach that in the same manner that he performs the blood presentation in the innermost sanctum, meaning in the Holy of Holies, that is how he shall later perform them in the sanctuary. Rabbi Shimon, Hahu, Mivachen Yaseh Nafka, Rabbi Yehuda, Ima Yava Mina Neite Par Yisrael Achini V'Nevad, Kamash Rabbi Shimon, V'chen Yaseh Lo Al-Moed, V'ine Mashma. The Gemara asks, and how does Rabbi Shimon derive that halacha? That halacha is derived from the continuation of the verse, and so shall he do to the tent of meeting, meaning the sanctuary. The Gemara asks, and what does Rabbi Yehuda derive from that part of the verse? The Gemara explains, he holds that if this halacha will be derived only from that part of the verse, I would say that he should bring another bull and goat, slaughter them, and perform the blood presentations in the sanctuary with their blood. Therefore, the first part of the verse, and he shall effect atonement upon the sanctuary, teaches us that all the presentations are made with blood from the same bull and goat. The Gemara asks, and why does Rabbi Shimon not need the first part of the verse to derive this? The Gemara explains that verse, and so shall he do to the tent of meeting, itself indicates that the blood used in the tent of meeting, meaning the sanctuary, is from the same bull and goat. Amar Mar Yochal al Kol Tumos Shel HaKodesh Yisrael Zemechaber Talmud Noimar Mipishehem Velo Chatotam. The Gemara Ma'inihu Yesh Ba Yediya Mitchila Yesh Ba Yediya V'Sof Hai Bar Korban Hu. The Gemara recites the next part of the writing. The Master said, one might have thought that this goat offering would atone for all cases of the defiling of the temple, even where there was awareness at the beginning and at the end. To counter this, the verse states, and from their acts of rebellion for all their sins, Leviticus 16:16, which indicates that the goat offering atones only for transgressions with regard to which the perpetrator is not subject to bring an offering brought by an individual to atone for himself. The Gemara asks, what is the case for which the goat offering does not atone? Where one had awareness at the beginning and had awareness at the end. The Gemara objects, but the person in that case is subject to atonement through an offering. If so, even without this verse, it would be obvious that the goat offering would not atone for him and absolve him from his obligation to bring an offering. Lo tzricha di'it yada le samuch l'shkiat achama sal kedai techamina ad maitai. And the next daf is nitile le k'mashmelan. The Gemara explains, no, the verse is necessary to teach that the goat does not atone for him in the case in which he became aware of his transgression close to sunset before the onset of Yom Kippur and was unable to bring his offering before Yom Kippur. In such a case, it might enter your mind to say that until he brings his sliding scale offering the day after Yom Kippur, the goat would suspend any punishment he deserved. Therefore, the verse teaches us that since the transgression is a type is of a type that is subject to an offering brought by an individual, that goat does not affect any atonement for it. So now we're on the top of 8b, and when we get to, God willing, to 8b, we'll start from Amar Mar.